Hello!
Hey from Banff!
Hey from Banff. Thank you very much to YWCA Hotel for letting us film the speaker series here. So I am here with Ms. Aurora Borin.
Hi.
And she's going to share with us her courageous story and give you some Transpositive Language 101 training. Are you ready for that?
Oh man, this is going to be the most exciting 10 minutes that they've ever had.
Okay.
I just can't wait.
So we're going to get right into it. You have some tips for our viewers.
Yes.
And this is a very important part of our values at Proud Fertility. And we want to make sure we use the right pronouns. We want to learn about the transgender community. So feel free to correct me because we're always learning it all the time.
Okay.
So our first tip that you have for our viewers is 1.
Yeah, it's if you don't know a pronoun, you can just ask. We get this all the time. Well, we're not sure what your pronoun is. Can we ask person? If somebody walks in and we think they might be trans and we're not sure, is it okay to just go, hey, what's your pronoun? Yes. Yes. Would you like to reenact it?
Okay.
Right now, let's reenact it.
Hi, my name is Nathan. I go by he, him.
Well, that would be lovely, but a lot of us don't like to do that.
Oh, okay.
Right? That would, because then they, maybe I don't want the first thing I say about myself to be my gender, right?
Okay.
So why don't you just walk into my store and...
You go in a store now?
Yeah. You want
Hey,
to
how's
just
it
walk
going?
in my store?
I'd like to take some dozen of eggs. How's it going?
Hey there. I hope you're doing well today. If you don't mind, can I ask what your pronoun is?
Oh, mine is he.
Oh, thank you very much.
What about yours?
Great, sir. Well, that would be nice too, but that's all you need. That's all it takes.
Oh,
right?
okay.
You say, if you don't mind, can I ask what your pronoun is? And then they answer, and then you just absorb that knowledge, and it's that easy. It's not awkward.
Just that easy.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing to be afraid of. It's not a thing to wonder about, and it's certainly not a thing. Don't toss a guess.
Okay.
If you don't know, just ask.
So I know that there is sometimes confusion for me, even, with they and them. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about, is that actually to do with trans community?
Yes, yes. So some transgender people don't identify as either a man or a woman. They identify as something else. And there's this entire beautiful rainbow of genders that you
That's
could
called
be.
non-binary, I've heard.
Yeah, well, they're non-binary identities because of the gender binary, male, female, right? But most, or not most, many of them don't even see themselves as part of like a spectrum. Maybe, here's man, here's woman, maybe they're over there.
Okay.
It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be right or wrong. All you have to know is that their pronoun is they. Which actually brings us to number 2, if you want to show them number 2.
Number 2.
You don't have to get it. Especially with non-binary identities, these can be very difficult for people to wrap their heads around. And the good news is you don't actually have to.
I get very sensitive because I want to use the right words, the right pronouns. So,
well, if you use the right words, if you use the words that they're asking you to use, if you use the language that they're asking you to use, that's all you need. If you don't get it, if you can't understand what it's like to be me and to be a trans woman, that's okay. You don't have to. It's in the same way I don't have to understand what it's like to be a construction worker, or I don't have to understand what it's like to be you. It doesn't matter. I'm going to call you Nathan and he and treat you with respect, no matter what.
Respect. That's a number 3.
Oh, hey, cool. Number 3, treating trans people with respect is easy. So we get this all the time. You don't know how hard this is for us. I'm sorry, this is so hard, blah, blah, blah. And what they're always referring to is changing pronouns. It's so hard, it's so hard. You know what? It's not. It's really not. Maybe you'll mess up a couple times. That's fine. I'll talk about that in a second. But for the most part, if you have a trans person in your life and you refer to that person with their pronoun, whether they're in front of you or not, it's easy. You just have to refer to that person with that pronoun all of the time. I know that in my life there's a lot of people that try to call me she when they're around me, and then they just call me he every other time.
Oh, okay.
And they mess up every time they see me, but of course they do because they're not practicing, right? And then
practice makes perfect.
It does. And it is easy. You just change. Just change and do it, and change it in everything. Change our names in your phone. If it helps, put me in your phone as Aurora She. That won't bother me, right? I'll never even know, and it's helping you. Just little reminders in your own head. If you think about me, use the pronoun she, and just correct yourself and keep going. And it's so easy. It actually really, really, really is easy.
The next point is actually more about, because I've known you for a while, and I know that sometimes it's a part of society's fixation on, you know, if a specific operation has been done. And I think that's so inappropriate.
Yeah.
So number 4 is kind of ours collectively.
Yeah. Don't ask about bodies is the first half of that. And then really extra super, don't ask about genitals. One of the big frustrations is as soon as we come out in trans, all of society wants to know what's between our legs and under our pants. And people just don't, that's private. I don't want to talk about that, right? Exactly. Yeah. And everybody wants to know, have you had the surgery yet? Well, I don't know, have you? Like what's between, and then the other things, trans people, there's a ton of surgeries and procedures and medical things that we can choose to do.
Because you don't have to choose all of the transitional operations in order to become identifying as a trans
You
person.
don't. And even if you do choose all of them, it's not really anybody's business but yours, right? Like, you know, how do you feel about grandpa who walks over for Christmas and tells you about the pint of fluid out of his bag? You know, you don't want to know that information, right? And you don't want it, but sometimes just because we're trans, and as you said, everybody's so fascinated about it, and we want to ask. So please do ask, but ask the appropriate questions. Ask how we're feeling. Ask if anything interesting is happening. Maybe you can even ask, you know, what have you done that's interesting? And maybe I'll tell you about some procedures, right? But then I'm telling you because I want to. And not because you kind of invaded my private space and talked about what's underneath my clothes. Yeah.
So our last one today, our 5th one.
Trans is an identity, it's not, and I wrote a whole list of things and I could have gone on and on and on. I'm trans because I feel like a specific gender, and it's not the one I was assigned when I was born. And that's all that makes me trans. Because when I sit here, I go, I'm a woman, I'm a girl, period. How do I know that? I don't know. How do you know you're a man?
So do we always refer you as a trans woman, or is it better to always refer you as, say, a woman?
Just a woman. That's all we need, right? That's all we need. It's much easier. And then, you know, one of the things that maybe you've noticed kind of permeates all of this is we don't have to, we're so much more than trans, right? We want to just get over this stuff, right? Like, what's your pronoun? Great, move on. You know, anything interesting going on, I might not even answer. I might go, well, I went for a walk. You know, maybe I don't answer about anything. And we don't have to do anything. That whole menu of body options that we talked about the last time, we don't have to do them. What if we do none of them? We're still trans.
So I do want to bring this back to surrogacy, and it's very easy to think about, well, you know, those things between your legs or how that works. So without mentioning the people who identify as trans, who create families prior to any transition. How does that process look like when you're building a trans family when you are a trans person?
Well, first of all, the hormonal processes and such won't necessarily sterilize a person. They often do. Most commonly they do, but there are trans people who have, in their own terms, fully transitioned. They're done with processes and they're still capable of having children on their own. Now, when you get the genital surgeries, yes, that is a sterilizing surgery.
And then if you do that, are there supports in society, or what are things that you want to think about before the full genital surgery, for example?
Even before you want to think before hormones, because there is a high chance that hormones are going to cause sterility. So you want to bank that sperm. If you have the money, you want to what's it when you do the egg version? You can like bank eggs. No, yeah.
Have an egg retrieval.
I know it's incredibly expensive. You want to do those before you start hormones. And then you can go back and get them anytime you want. Otherwise, I imagine it's much the same as say, a gay couple having children. Like maybe you're going to find a surrogate. Maybe you're going to adopt. Maybe, you know. Yeah.
So banking sperm is very typical for any kind of transitional steps or procedures that you take?
Most transgender women that I'm aware of have banked sperm.
Okay.
It is so easy and so cheap, and you can get it done at the drop of a hat and just
So it's very easy to access.
Yeah.
And then when you're thinking about further stages, then surrogacy is something that would be very accessible for someone who's a trans person or trans couple.
Well, I would hope so. Okay. You'd know more about that than I do.
But we're definitely working on that.
Yeah.
Proud Fertility isn't about fascinated about T people, transgender people. It's just a basic human right. Like everyone deserves the chance to become a parent.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're working on continuously.
Yeah, we get all this nonsense about how, well, trans people don't deserve children because they're going to have trans children. Well,
everyone deserves.
Right? Yeah, everyone deserves child. And gay parents don't make gay children. Trans parents don't make trans children. That's not, all you have to do is look around, right?
So Aurora, if you could share with us, maybe what's it like, and do you have any encouraging words to any of our viewers who could be trans, going through the process or whatnot? Like, can you give us some courageous words that I know that you love sharing? So.
Oh, sure. If you think you might be trans, or if you are trans, do it your way. Do you, and don't let other people tell you how that's going to work. We mentioned procedures that you may or may not. You may or may not want to do a name change. You may or may not want to do a pronoun change. There's so many ways you can dress how you want. You can act how you want, and it's only about being the most you can be. And as much as there's a lot of costs to that societally, as much as a part of me kind of misses when I walked around as a straight white man, and that was really wonderful. This is so much better. So much better.
Well, I'm so happy that we have a good story like yours, being proud of yourself. So,
thank you.
We have something for you.
Oh, God.
How appropriate. I know you play the piano. And of course, it's also about Aurora Borealis. So, this is for you. Hope you continue to make the sound.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us on our Facebook Live series, Aurora. Take care.
Bye.